Hey guys, it's Sarah. So I am finally making another video. I haven't made one in like 2 or 3 months. So I figured I would make another one. I had a request to make another one as well, so I figured it's time. So yeah, I just want to update you guys on my VNS, my seizures, like epilepsy in general, and just how everything's going with my college life, with all of that. So, like in my, okay, I'm gonna try not to touch my hair. Okay. Like in my last video, I talked about how I am now in college, and you guys can actually go look at that video after this if you want. So yeah, I am now in college. I started the beginning of January, and so in general everything's been pretty good. So what I did, since they have disability services at colleges, so I took advantage of that right away, and I got them to write notes, and just work with me on everything so that I can succeed. It's like everyone else. So with me, what I get to do is I get to I haven't had to do this yet, but I'm allowed to turn in assignments, past the due date if I need to. I'm also allowed to leave class whenever, okay, there it goes. I'm allowed to leave class whenever I want to. Anyone's allowed to leave class in college whenever they want to, but this way the teacher knows why I'm leaving class if I have to. And I am allowed to, what else? I just can work with my teachers, to get them, if I need any help, then they can help me. And so when I take tests in the testing center, I'm allowed to take the test in a small room that's cut off from everyone else. It's a pretty small room, but it definitely helps because I get distracted really easy, and I've noticed ever since, when I was 13 and I started having seizures, I've noticed that it's increased, and I think it's definitely a side effect from my medications. I can't focus. It's really hard for me to take a test with other people around. And actually, I wanted to mention, that there's been kind of trouble going on with that because the testing center, I don't know, I guess they didn't really talk to the Disability Services Center about it, because the first time I wasn't even on the list. So I was on the list to be able to take the test in a separate room because those are reserved for people who need them. And I guess I was on the list and they let me use the room anyway, because there was a spot available or something. But that was really difficult, and I talked to the Disability Services office again and told them about that, and they said that they would talk to the testing center again. So I said, okay. So I go to take another test, and they say, did you reserve a room? And I said, I didn't know you had to reserve a room. Like, they just told me that I was on the list and that I'm fine. So that made me really frustrated, but I needed to take the test that day. So, and it was getting pretty late, so I had no choice but to take the test with everyone else. So in the testing center, there were over 100 people, and it was very, very hard for me to focus and take that test. And I'm already not very good at taking tests, so sitting there, I could not focus. I just, kept looking around at other people and I couldn't even focus. I would be staring at a question for like 5 minutes, reading it over and over just because I couldn't focus. So that was very hard. So I guess next time I'm gonna have to reserve a room. So there's that. I just wanted to talk to you guys about that. This is sort of just like an update video. So sorry if I'm rambling on. I just kind of want to tell you guys about everything that's happening since it's been about 2 or 3 months. So there's that. And I love the disability services because I've gotten so much from that. I've had to miss one of my classes, maybe 3 times in a row, because my medications were acting out and my double vision was really bad. And so it was making me feel really sick and I wasn't able to go to class 3 weeks in a row, which was very hard. But I emailed my teacher about it and he knows about it. He never writes back, which kind of frustrates me, but I know that he gets it. It's just, that really frustrates me. But yeah, that's been good because I know that if I miss class, then it's not a big deal because, I can get the assignments online or, which is nice. What else? Okay, so, let me see. Okay, so, my VNS has been working. I get my regular cluster of seizures every month, and before I had the VNS, I used to have like 5 in a day every month, and sometimes it's 2 days worth. But now that I have it over the months, it's gotten better and better because it takes, up to a year to work to its full effect. But it's definitely made a difference. When I do have them, they're smaller and sometimes I actually have less, which is great because though I greatly dislike seizures, the VNS definitely helps. So hopefully it just gets better and better. Let's see. So, one of you guys asked me, what is it called? What number I'm on for this? So, like, when I first came up to college, I believe the VNS was at, 1.5, I believe. Oh, yeah, 1.5. And my magnet was at 1.25. Yeah, 1.25. Sorry guys. It was at 1.25. This thing. And, and so, let's see, probably about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, when I went down, I think it was at the beginning of February, when I went down to see my family, I went to the doctor at the same time I went to my neurologist, and I got my VNS turned up. And so now it's at, 1 point, no, maybe it's, I don't know what I just said. I think it's, before my VNS was at 1.75 and this was at 1.5. Okay, so now this is at 2, I believe, and this is 1.75. Okay, wow, guys. I am sorry. I totally just switched that up. And I'm not going to restart this video. Okay, pretend I didn't say any of that. Switch those 2 around, okay? This is always 0.25 higher than the actual VNS, okay? So before, when I first came here, my VNS was at 1.5. and this was, and the magnet was at 1.75, okay? This is always 0.25 higher. Now, this is at 2, and my VNS is at 1.75 now. So when I went back home and saw my doctor, the neurologist, in February, I got this turned up to 1.75 and this to 2. So I'm very sorry. I was totally wrong when I said that. I switched them up, but I don't want to start this video again. So, I still am getting my seizures, but you know, it isn't taking them all away. Hopefully that will be the end result. But it is definitely making them smaller and less frequent. The reason why I'm looking at my phone right now, I'm not trying to be rude. I wrote down the last time I had seizures. I'm trying to be better and keep track of it so I know the severity and how many I had, when I had them, which I am glad because now I have it. So the last ones I had were on March 5th around 9:00 p.m. I had about 3 and they were small like usual. And I had been studying at one of the buildings and I just felt them coming on. They were about 2 minutes apart, which is about right. And they were kind of twitchy. So sometimes when I have them, I'll just stand there and my fist will clench and I'll be out of it. But sometimes these kind of happen. So I was sitting there and kind of my face started twitching, like one side of my face. And so yeah, that happened. I had 3 2 minutes apart. So those were the last ones I had. So I pretty much have my seizures at the beginning of the month, every month, or close to the beginning of the month, maybe the very end of the month or beginning. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so those, luckily I used my magnet, and at the time, I hadn't taken my pills yet, but it had only been like an hour after I was supposed to, which is totally fine. But I did have, I have these seizure stoppers. I don't remember what the medication is called. But whenever I have a cluster of seizures, I just take one of the pills and it usually stops the seizures, which is nice. And I had those with me, so I did that. But it's kind of weird because I forgot to use my magnet. Which is kind of weird, but I ended up using it later. But, let's see. Oh yeah, I think, so at the beginning of February when I had, or maybe it was the very end of January, but around there, when I had my cluster of seizures, I was with one of my roommates, and we were walking outside, and, you know, I stood there, and I clenched my left fist, and just had one of my seizures. And whenever I have seizures, I don't know if you guys understand this, you probably do. When you're in a seizure, at least for me, you kind of have a different mindset. And it's kind of hard to explain. I've tried explaining it to my mom, because she's always interested in this, how it feels, because obviously she doesn't know how it feels to have a seizure, be in my spot, in my place. But it's kind of weird because it's a different mindset, because when you see, I guess when people see me having a seizure, when it's just like a small one and I'm just clenching my fist, usually it's pretty small and I just like this and I'm staring off into space. But for some reason, when I'm having the seizure, I feel like it's so obvious and that everyone is watching me and everyone thinks I'm a freak, when in reality it's not true. In reality, I'm just staring off into space. And the people who don't know me don't notice, but the people who do know me and know about my epilepsy, know. So really, if you were to see me having one, you wouldn't know what it was. most of you anyway. But yeah, so it's kind of frustrating because when I'm having one, I have to fight against my mind because I feel like everyone's watching me, everyone thinks I'm a freak, when in reality, no one does. So it's really hard. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but that's how it is for me. And so when I was with my roommate and that happened, I felt like just everyone was staring at me around campus and everyone was seeing me have it, and so that was kind of stressful, but I had maybe 3 or 4 of those right after. I think, so the last video I made was the one, where I told you I was in college now, and, I was saying how when I told my roommates about my epilepsy, one of my roommates kind of freaked out. I mean, she wasn't scared, everyone reacts differently, and she was kind of paranoid that, because a lot of people, when you say that you have seizures, they automatically think of grand mal seizures and you falling to the ground and it's all violent and you're seizing all over the place. But that's not true. I mean, people do have those seizures and I've had them, but there are many different kinds of seizures. And so when I told her about it, like I've told you guys in the other video, she got kind of freaked out, and she said that if it were to happen, she would want to call 911 or something or get help. But eventually she stopped, and I calmed her down, and I was able to talk to her about it, and so everything's okay now. Now when I have one, she still looks at me, but it's not like, and I do get uncomfortable because she is staring at me, and I hate it, but it's better than it was before. Yeah. So, everything's good with that. Lately, the voice changing thing when my VNS goes off every 5 minutes, it has been kind of bothering me. I mean, not bothering me, like it doesn't hurt or anything, but it's just bothering me because I'll just be in the middle of talking to someone and then it goes off and I feel dumb, and even though it goes off when I'm with my roommates and stuff, and they know what it is and it's fine, but it's just, I don't like it because then I feel dumb, kind of, just because I'm trying to talk and I'm trying to be in this conversation and then it goes off and then I can't even focus on it. So it's frustrating, but honestly, I just love this so much. I can't. It's weird to think that I didn't have it before. Yeah, so what else can I say? So in general, things have been going well. Let's see. I think 2 nights ago, there we go. 2 nights ago, so I take my medications 12 hours apart. Oh my gosh. Yes, I have something else I need to tell you guys. Well, first I'll tell you this. I take my medications 12 hours apart, okay? So I take them at 7 in the morning and 7 at night. But sometimes I have my alarm set on my phone. Sometimes it'll go off at 7, 7 at night, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take them in a second. But I forget, and I don't. And so I'll end up taking them at like 11, which isn't good because that is not 12 hours apart. That is more than 12 hours. So that happened the other night, about 2 nights ago. My alarm went off and I turned it off and I was like, yeah, I'll take it in a couple minutes. But of course, it's 1 a.m. and I realized I still haven't taken them. And so, I just, I hurried and I went and took them. But since that happened, my medications overlapped because after that, I took my medications again 6 hours later in the morning. And so when I woke up, my double vision was so bad. And it's happened before, but I hate it. And it was so bad. I was in bed. I couldn't even get up because it was so bad. So I was just laying in bed for hours waiting for it to go away. So that wasn't fun at all. But I would like, okay, this video is 20 minutes long already, but I would like to tell you guys, real quick, hopefully, about this, incident that happened, and it's still kind of happening. So I get my medications through mail order, and I've always gotten them on time and stuff, and if I don't get them for some reason on time, then I just call them and then they send it, and it's fine. But, recently, 2 weeks ago, so a while ago, the pharmacy had started sending me, so I take, Lamictal at night, and I take 2 pills of 250 milligrams, so 500 milligrams a day at night of Lamictal. And I take the generic, which is lamotrigine. And, for some reason, the pharmacy kept sending me, only enough to take 1 at night. And so I was getting like this small bottle, and so instead of taking 2 at night, there was only enough to take 1 at night. And so I called them and they said that I needed to talk to my doctor about it. So I talked to them, and of course the doctor never changed it. So a couple weeks ago, I talked to my doctor and they finally changed it. And the pharmacy was called and it was sent in. 2 days went by and I still hadn't, like, gotten it or something. And so I called them back saying, because I got my other 2 medications in the mail, and I was curious why didn't I get my Lamictal. And they said, oh, well, we got the request from your doctor, but we can't refill it till, like, I don't know, for like a month and a half, because you can only get a certain amount of refills, every so often. And so I said, well, they just barely changed it. I need it. I'm almost out. And I was almost out. I had like less than a week left. And they said, okay, we'll change it. So about 5 days went by and I only had 2 doses left and I still hadn't gotten it. So this is where it all began. I called them back and they said, the pharmacy said that they sent it out and it should be there soon, and it wasn't. So I was talking to my parents and they said to call my doctor. So I called my neurologist, and of course it was after hours. I'd already left. And of course the lady who was there, who's the person who answers the phone, she has no authority, she's not a doctor or anything, but she's the answering service lady. And I say, so are the doctors gone? It was only 3:00, but I guess they already left. And so I told my parents that, and they said to call back and say, so I called back and I said, hey, this is an emergency. I'm almost out of my medication. Is there like an on-call doctor or something? And she said, yes. So I talked to the on-call doctor and I said, hey, I have 2 days left. Can you send like an emergency prescription in, like 2 days worth, so that I don't have to go without my medication? And he said, yes. So he called it in, and they called it into Walgreens. So I went to Walgreens and they said, yeah, we got your prescription, but we're out of stock. And so I had to call the doctors back again. And they, Walgreens tried calling all these other pharmacies to see if they had it, and they didn't. And, so my doctor, it was all a blur. My doctors, said, what happened? Finally, he called it into, Save On Pharmacy, and, after talking to doctors for a long time, I finally got 2 days worth, which was great. And I figured that my medications would come in the mail soon because they said they would. And 2 days went by, still no medications. So I called the doctor back, and I had already, when I was trying to get a hold of a doctor, like before I even got the 2 days, I left a message with the nurse, and she didn't answer, of course. And the pharmacy couldn't do anything about it. But I call them back again and I say, hey, well, I got a 2-day dose of this. I got 2 days worth and I still haven't gotten it. And they said, the guy barely even spoke English. He said, okay, well, let's call the pharmacy together. So they call Walgreens. And I'm like, well, Walgreens didn't even have it. So why are we calling them? But it was a 3-way call thing. So I gotta listen to it. And Walgreens, apparently, they didn't have the 250 milligram tablets. Apparently the mail order that I get, they're really rare, the 250 milligram tablets. They usually just come in like 100 milligram or 200 milligrams. So that is why Walgreens didn't have it. And I wish they would have told me that. So they call the doctor. I'm still on the line and he's talking to the pharmacist at Walgreens. And he says, hey, so she needs more. And the pharmacist says that my insurance won't cover it because they already sent out a claim to the mail order pharmacy. And we're like, well, it's still not here. Like, I still haven't gotten the medication. The mail order still hasn't gotten me the medication. So that was terrible. So the only option was for my parents. So my sister takes the same medication. She takes Lamictal, but for a different reason. And so the only option was for my parents to drive me up some of my sisters, or for us to pay $128 for 6 tablets. 6 tablets, $128. So we went with paying that $128 for 6 tablets because my parents didn't want to drive all the way up here to give me that. So I went there, they gave me, and it was kind of funny because all the people kept saying, now you know the insurance doesn't cover it. And I'm like, duh. Okay, sorry. That just made me really mad and it was really frustrating. So they gave me they gave me more medication. And of course, I still haven't gotten the medication. So my mom was really frustrated and I don't know what she did. She called the pharmacy or my doctor or something. 'Cause she has permission because I'm over 18. So my mom has permission, or I'm allowed to give certain people permission to talk to the doctor and get my records and stuff. So my mom has that permission. So she called and she was able to get them to give me the mail order pharmacy to mail me overnight 10 days supply of Lamictal. And so I am grateful because I have that supply, and yet I still haven't gotten the original stuff. So my supply is running out. I probably have like 6 days left. And I'm really frustrated because I still haven't gotten it. Yeah. So that's been really stressful for me. That's ridiculously expensive. $128 for 6 tablets. But that was the only option I had, other than my parents driving it up. This is a really, really long video, and I'm really sorry, but I just wanted you guys to know what's going on with me. But college life in general has been good. It's really hard at first, with everything, my epilepsy and stuff. But my seizures have been, under control. I did have those beginning of March, but they weren't that bad, and I was fine. So, yeah, that's really what's been going on. So I'm hoping that I answered, or I just, you guys know what's happening now. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you guys want me to, well, I'm going to be making more videos, obviously, but if you have questions, and I can make a video on it, because I love making videos. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, guys. Love ya.